Welcome to the third edition of the Health and Technology Podcast. I'm Justin Dizio, and guys, why don't you introduce yourselves real quick?
I'm Nick Vinciullo.
I'm Angelina Luchanan.
And I'm Mike Nikoski.
And today we'll be talking about wearable technology and how they are rapidly evolving into much, much more. After reading an article titled Wearable Technology, Catapulting Health and Fitness into the Future, which you can check out if you look onto the Flipboard. I flipped it in a couple days ago. It's pretty interesting stuff. They were talking about how technology getting into the future is just rapidly evolving, and how there might even be stuff like accessing medical records, diets, and training logs, and then syncing them to sensors to supermarkets and malls to provide real-time shopping and health advice for people. Do you think that'd be like a good idea?
Yeah, it'd definitely be a good idea. I was looking at another article that was talking about how you can really improve performance when talking about things like smartwatches, other things that you can wear like smart jewelry and everything. They have one called Basis Peak, which lets you monitor your heart rate in real time, measure your skin temperature, perspiration, everything, which really makes a big difference when you're doing sports or other kinds of things to really perform at your peak level.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I think that it would be very beneficial if you could have something where people could go to the grocery store, say somebody has diabetes, and they don't, like a big thing with diabetes is your nutrition and what you eat. So if you have something that can literally pull up your medical records and tell you, like, you can buy this, but you really should stay away from this because it's not going to be good for you.
Like what foods meet the criteria.
Yeah, because, like, a lot of people, as educated as you can get by, like, your doctor or looking things up, like, it's hard to, like, really get into a new lifestyle when it's such a drastic change for so many people.
And a lot of people really don't know, like, what specific foods provide what benefits. That's a huge thing that I realized.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I've just like with the nutrition class that like we have to take, like you learn all the information, like wow, like that's awesome, like oh, I'll remember that next time like I go like shopping for food, but then like you get there like wait, was it this or this, like because it's hard to remember it all and it's hard to like make it like a part of like your everyday like thinking.
Yeah, there's so many misconceptions too with like what people think are healthy food. Just because something's not processed or whatever, just because it's not like this is like loaded with fat or something doesn't mean people don't realize like the glycemic index of foods and everything, like how it really affects the entire body without like people don't understand like the difference between regular potatoes and sweet potatoes. It's like a huge difference. It's like a whole different
fats,
world.
Bad fats.
Yeah.
If I had something that would literally tell me like what to buy and it would be healthy for me, like I would use it. I mean, some people might think it's kind of like a cop out or like a lazy way or something, but like I feel like it'd be really beneficial to people that don't have access to like the knowledge that they really need.
Yeah, I know you were talking about diabetes and how like that would benefit them. There was also technology, and I believe the same article that was talking about like diabetic wristbands that they would wear, and it would like alert them on their blood sugar and if they like needed to eat anything or something like that. And I think that would be really beneficial to a lot of people because I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure they're eventually going to get to the point with like the insulin injection. I know my sister's boyfriend always has to have that thing for the insulin. I'm sure they'll figure out how to get it so it's like just in your watch or something.
Yeah, something like they could just put them into them.
That makes it way more convenient for people.
Yeah. And that could, like, potentially save lives, Because, like, people are out there, like, every day, like, not eating right with diabetes, and that's such a...
Especially when you automatically, when it's really, set up with your system, and it automatically monitors your system and does it itself, like, automated by measuring what's going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, like, my sister's boyfriend had an experience where, like, you still have to know, you have to put in, like, how much insulin is going into your body, because it's not reading it itself, you have to check it yourself. And if you have an experience where, say, everyone's young, but people who have diabetes are young, they go out and they drink and they do stuff like that, and you put in the wrong amount of insulin, and you can end up having seizures, and it can get really unsafe. But that'll definitely make a big move.
After reading on a little bit more in this same article, they mentioned some stuff about smart shoes and biometric shirts, which will remind you to straighten your posture, hydrate, and run and walk with correct form to protect your back and knees. How important would that be?
I think that's pretty cool, honestly.
I think it's
considering the amount of people, especially like at least in younger people, that that develop scoliosis and everything. I guess that would probably make it a lot easier in elementary schools when they're always checking for that. It probably would allow you to go straight to your medical records, if anything, too.
I think that would help too because like this now generation and like society group is like very like heads down and like posture's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I feel like that would definitely help a lot of people out. especially like you said, like scoliosis at like a young age, like that would obviously like prevent that stuff for little kids too.
Reminding people to drink water too, I think, is huge. Just because hardly anybody drinks the amount of water you're actually supposed to drink.
Yeah, I feel like people don't realize like how effective drinking like the right amount of water is.
And that's why I thought when we were talking about the smartwatches with the recording perspiration and everything, I thought that was so interesting because I always like, at least when I'm working out or because I'm a boxer when I'm boxing, that's a huge thing. It's like trying to figure out how much water is too much. My coach is always telling me, don't chug, just take a sip at a time. But you got to keep doing it because you got to do it at a certain level, a certain pace, so you can keep up performance. But not be drinking too much at one time. And I just thought that really stood out to me at least.
Do you think that it's something like, say, like all the Fitbit and now the iWatch is out and people are buying all these things and they're quite expensive? I mean, the iWatch is pretty pricey. Do you think people are going to actually continue to use them after like their kind of like honeymoon phase with them wears off?
The iWatch, I mean, that's how much is it bringing to the table compared to an iPhone, rather than some of the other things that we're talking about. Like what does it have any sensors that is it reading, picking up anything about that's going on inside your body, something that your regular iPhone couldn't do for you.
And not to mention, I mean, yeah, it would be cool for like the first month to track how many steps you're taking and all the stuff that it can do, but then after a while the data's kind of just going to become repetitive and the same.
Yeah,
like
what point is it just like not important anymore? I mean, you know how many steps you take a day on average, like.
Well, that's a good thing, too, would be having some kind of alert system, because no one's going to go and just check every single day. Maybe when they first get the device, that'll be exciting. But, after a while, you're going to have to kind of rely on an alert system when, whatever your readings or whatever it is fall into the red,
I think a lot of people kind of, after it kind of wears off and they're kind of over it, I mean, they kind of forget they even have them, to be quite honest. Yeah. And I think I've read a lot about people, they don't like that they're so, like, they stand out so much, like, when you're wearing it, it's like, oh, you know exactly what it is. People want them to be kind of more incorporated into, like, your everyday, like, what you wear, like, necklaces, jewelry, like, clothes, like, things, so that it's, you can still have your own, like, fashion sense and be able to wear the wearables at the same time.
I'm curious to see how, because I know, like, things like Cuff and Misfits, they have smart jewelry. I'm just, like, I've seen the earrings and everything, and I'm just curious, like, how effective is that really when it's tracking your steps and everything? It's like, what is tracking it? Is it GPS, or is it some kind of motorized, like, what's the thing called? The pedometers and everything. It's actually, like, motion. Like, how exactly is that working? I always just, is it, like, really, is it effective? It's just, what I'm getting at.
I think for the most part, I mean, it can be, but I feel like you have to really use it, like, the right way. Yeah. And if, like, you really don't, like, utilize it for, like, what it is, then it's kind of like one of those things where it's, like, not that important.
Yeah.
And if you don't really have a need for it either, it's going to be, it's not really going to stand it. These kinds of things have to really, a major part of making these, successful, at least making it like a hot new technology, is really, does it work for everybody? Is it something that's going to stand out for everybody? Or otherwise, it's not really going to be too successful, and we're probably not going to see much growth in it.
Yeah, and are the prices going to go down? Is everybody going to be able to, like, buy whatever, because I know I wouldn't go out and spend
As things get smaller and smarter, they just get more expensive. Smarter, they just get more expensive.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be all the time we have today. Check us out next week.